bid to try and tackle the high student dropout rate. The Council on Higher Education has proposed that all undergraduate degree and diploma qualifications be extended by a full year. The Council believes that restructuring the curriculum was the most effective way of dealing with under-preparedness of first-year students. A document tabled by the Council found that more than half of South African students dropped out of university and just 1 in 4 graduates in the minimum time. The report also revealed that the new structure would produce 28% more graduates and cost an additional 16% in government subsidies. A decision that received a thumbs up from 17 out of the 26 of South Africa's public universities. Now, from the Council on Higher Education, we are joined by the CEO, Dr. Denyse Webbstock, this morning. Very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Urban. It's acting CEO.
Acting CEO. Well, we all act in some way or the other in life.
I know.
Denyse, can I
Yes.
kind of cut to the chase a little bit here? You know, people say that this sounds very good in theory, but what about the financial aspect? What about the extra burden on families and the extra burden on the public purse?
Okay, thank you very much, Urban. I think, as you rightly said, the Council has been looking at this problem of poor throughput rates for some time, and we put together a task team to examine it more carefully. And the task team was led by Professor Njabula Ndebele. Now, we looked at the problem and saw that we now have better ways of tracking the cohorts. And we saw that the problem is so big that it has to be a systemic problem rather than an individual one, which means that we need a systemic kind of intervention. So, of course, when we did our modeling about how to do this, you look at the worst case scenario, the biggest possible number of programs and so on to see whether it's both affordable, feasible, and so on. In the analysis of the problem, what is the problem? Why are our young people not getting through higher education? There are a number of reasons we came across. Finance is one of them. Change of curriculum is another, not being prepared. But the main one in our analysis was that students are academically underprepared. We call this an articulation gap between school and higher education. And we thought, what can higher education do to narrow that gap? Now, we also saw that, as you rightly said, only 27% of the students who come in manage to do a degree or a diploma curriculum in the regulation time. Most of them who succeed, and only half will succeed, take 4, 5, 6 years to do that program, which means that you have a number of repeat students in the system. That all costs money. And it's not very conducive for teaching, no, because in your class you have repeat students who are doing it for the first time, and so on. It's hard to know where to pitch your lectures.
Denyse,
so we looked at that.
Sorry,
no problem.
Apologies. You just say this unpreparedness or underpreparedness. Shouldn't this be something that we sort out in the high school curriculum instead of trying to babysit them through the higher education scenarios?
Yeah, but of course that's something we've heard a lot, and we've heard in the responses that we got from institutions. Why do we not work on it at school level? And of course we need to do that. The reality is that we also worked out that if we were to keep things as they are, in the same throughput flows through the system that we have currently, we would need, to be able to make a difference in the graduate output, we would need 100,000 more well-prepared students tomorrow. Now, with the best will in the world and with great respect to basic education, that's not going to happen tomorrow. It might take some time to get there. So in the meantime, we have to be realistic and look at what it is that we can possibly do. Now, just your second point was about, is this affordable? Could we actually have an extra year? What the proposal is actually saying is not necessarily an extra year. It is saying, please let's fund an extra 120 credits for most degrees, for most students. Not everybody, not all degrees. And what that would be used for is for the developmental work that is needed to be able to help our students to get through their curricula. We have found that there are blockages at the beginning because they come in underprepared, but there are also blockages at various transition points within the curriculum. I'll give you an example. in engineering, for example. You've learnt your basic sciences, your engineering sciences, you've got through all of that. Then all of a sudden in third year, you hit design. You've had design nowhere in your background. So we're saying if we had this 120 extra credits funded, we could build in those developmental programs at the requisite parts in different curricula to enable our students to get through. We think it's unconscionable that so many of our students end their time at university with debt, with no qualification, and frankly at the moment with really nowhere else to go unless they do manage to find some further education and training possibility.
Dr.
So
Denyse,
that's in a sense where we're going, yes.
what about international benchmarks? What are they saying? What are they doing internationally?
Internationally is a big place, so they're doing different things. I think what's different for us is that we actually have a relatively small system. So you will find poor throughput rates elsewhere, let's say maybe even in the United States. But there you have an 80 to 90% participation rate in a variety of kinds of institutions across the system. We have a 19% participation rate. So we are choosing the best 10% of our young people, but we are only managing to get half of those through higher education. So for us, those kind of statistics are a major warning light that we really need to do something about this in order to get our economy going, to get our professions happening, to get our citizenry more solid, and to raise the levels of education in the country.
Dr. Webbstock, this is it's something that we will revisit with you because we think this is one of the most important discussions going on in South Africa right now. Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we will revisit this because it's such an important story and it is such an important development. Let's just have a quick look at your tweet.